Hi, everyone. Thanks a lot for the kind words, and thanks for having me. So I will walk through a little bit of details about quantum technologies that I think you're all aware, and then I will move towards the landscape of European quantum ecosystem and the support system that we have for the startups and SMEs in this ecosystem. So, as you know, we are looking always for technologies to improve our life. We are living in a very special time. Unfortunately, a lot of instabilities in different parts of the world, and we were not so kind to our Mother Earth, and we are losing a lot of resources that we thought they are endless. So we are facing a lot of problem with energy, critical raw materials, global warming, and so on. So we are looking for technologies to improve our life in any possible way. And one of these technologies is, of course, quantum technologies. As you know, it's a rapidly developing field that has a lot of promises to be unfolded to revolutionize our society as we know it. It will have scientific, economic, and strategic and political impacts. And of course, the countries that are in the front line will have an upper hand compared to the others to take control of many different sectors. And of course, it's also a great opportunity to create new jobs in different fields. So what are these promises? If quantum technologies will be in place, well, they are already unfolding, but when they are in place fully, they can open doors to unhackable computers, supercharged artificial intelligence, the things that we are hearing now a lot, and also space-based climate and environmental processes. We need a lot of more information about that we can't achieve now with our current technologies. We can have ultra-safe space-based communication, which are not possible now. Our financial technologies, or fintech, can be radically increased in safety and security. And also, it can open a door to our drug developments, our pharmaceuticals. Look, we don't have to wait for having a vaccine or a drug for a new rare disease for many, many years to be developed, and it can happen much faster. And of course, it can help us with having new fuels, new fertilizations, new batteries, and so on and so on. So a lot of promises. But it's basically some scientists, they say we are going to shift from a black and white digital world to a quantum world in color. So there is a huge promise upon us. But where are we standing now? As you know, the fundamental of quantum mechanics were unfolded here in Germany around 123 years ago by Max Planck. And since then, we had two revolutions. The first one was really about understanding the details of quantum mechanics that is happening in the molecules, in atoms, and so on, and helped us to create many outstanding achievements, like having the transistors, the smartphones, and so on. So many digital things that we are familiar with now. And now we are in the second quantum revolution, when we are working for interactions at even smaller scales, which is opening the door towards quantum computing, sensing, telecommunication, and simulations and cryptography for us. So there are many countries now that are investing in quantum at different levels, because quantum is future. It's going to revolutionize our world. And countries like US, Canada, UK, Australia, Germany, France, Netherlands, Switzerland, they invest a lot in quantum technologies. At the same time, European Commission has initiated a quantum flagship in 2018, and they invested €1 billion for the duration of 10 years to help Europe catch up with quantum technology improvements. And as you can see, it's both looking into research, but also it's looking to industrialization of quantum technologies and bringing these opinions to the market. But still, we have a long way to go. There are a lot of great innovations in different parts of the world, and of course in Europe, because we are creating a lot of knowledge in quantum. But the largest scale, for instance, the largest scale fault-tolerant quantum computers that we need for the scale that we need to use in industry are still not available. Or the fidelity time of the qubits are not long enough. And many other things that are still need to be improved. So what should we do? We have to definitely bring the science into market, but these startups and SMEs need a lot of support. This is a little bit of information from 2022 about the global landscape of quantum startups. As you can see, there are so many. Here, it's 441 startups that are identified in 42 countries, and Europe has less than 50% of them. What is the focus in the European quantum landscape? We are covering everything from sensing, communication, simulation, computing, software, and also enabling technologies, for instance, the cooling systems and so on. But there are some points that we are lacking behind. For instance, sensing startups are not as many as in the other parts of the board. Also for quantum hardware, maybe you don't have enough or we don't invest enough. So this is where EIC is coming to the picture. The European Innovation Council, where I work in. So we are trying to make sure that we are covering the support that is needed for these startups to bring their products to the market, or to, if there is already a product, to scale up that product. And we are trying also, at the same time that we are investing in startups, attract private investors. Because basically when we invest in a startup, with collaboration with the European Investment Bank, we do the due diligence, we do everything. So it's like a low-hanging fruit for the investors to pick these companies. Here are some examples of the startups that EIC is backing. You know, many of them are very well known, and this is definitely non-exhaustive list. We have more. And they are covering many different levels as quantum computing, software, sensing, and so on. And they're all doing outstanding work. So my message here is that we are trying to do what we can, of course, at the European level, but we definitely need more private investment in our startups to really flourish what they have to offer. Just to mention very briefly what we have in, at what level we can support the quantum ecosystem, we have different instruments. The first one, called Pathfinder, is for early stage research, and we are looking into TRL level of, let's say, 0 to 3, and we are looking into breakthrough technologies, and then we have a transition, which is between 4 to 6. It's like you have proof of concept, and accelerator, which is the most special one, which is for a single SME or startup, and we're looking into TRL 5 to 9. And here we have the largest investment, 2.5 million grants and up to 15 million equity. Another thing that is important is that now, finally, the European Chips Act unfolded, and it's going actually to be launched soon, by the end of the year, officially. And EIC also has a mandate to spend 300 million euros in that program, and we have also quantum chip under that. And this is why, for instance, this year in the EIC work program, we have the challenge dedicated to emerging semiconductor or quantum technology components, where startups can apply based on what if they're, how do you say, like the product that they have, if it's falling under these categories, they are applied. And we already had the 4 cutoffs, and we already selected very interesting companies. But in the next work programs, we also might support quantum. But at the same time, even if there is no challenge, startups can always, and also the researchers, apply for our open scheme, which is, there is no topic. But if your topic, if your presentation application is interesting, you will pass through and go through the external evaluators, and you have the chance to be selected. By that, I would like to thank you.
Thank you so much. And then I'll switch to the next one. We're staying in the discussion about how quantum computing will actually impact our society. And now we're taking a focus on the next generation workforce. So we're talking about future skills. We had it before with creativity. Now Samira added on it. And now we're diving into a panel discussion. And I'm very excited about this one. I have 3 amazing speakers on stage. I have Katharina, who's working at SAP, heading the university collaboration. Katharina, great to have you. Then we have Stefan Segerer, who is the education lead at IQM. And then last but not least, Ingolf, great to have you here. He's technology expert, consultant, and with a long background at IBM, at Bitkom. Like, there are so many initiatives that you pushed, promoted. I'm curious also about your focus, how to educate the business side. And you know, let's gather around here a little bit. So I have you guys there. Talking about it, since when is quantum computing on the strategic agenda of corporates, maybe also like businesses, SAP? Maybe Katharina, you want to start?
Sure. So SAP started looking into the opportunities of quantum computing and quantum technologies in 2016, and then intensified its effort from 2018 on with its own business case. I mean, I guess everyone here at Quantum Effects knows quantum computing promises this quantum advantage that certain computation can be made more efficient, more faster with the help of quantum computing. And these are like especially computation where you look like at a big parameter space, such as in optimization or machine learning. And these are topics that are interesting for SAP in the area of transportation management, for example, supply chain management, but also around the question, can we train machine learning models? How can we train them faster? And can quantum computing also bring an advantage here? And I mean, last but not least, security is a big topic for us as well. We want to make sure that our internal IT infrastructure stays secure and resilient against potential threats in future by quantum computers. So this is an important topic for us as well.
And maybe I throw the ball to Ingolf, because I already said you've been involved very early on. So when did you start consulting industries?
Yeah, so the starting point really was for most of the people and for most of the industry when IBM was announcing 2016 the IBM Q system. And the breakthrough there was it was an open source model and it was free accessible for everybody. So that was the move out from the labs, from the academia, really in the forefront to the industry. And interesting enough, a lot of companies then were starting to push their own announcements and to bring their own solutions and products to the market. And that was the starting point where the HPC conferences then participating also in quantum technologies and bringing that to the deep academia area, so to focus more on that, but also for the industry to bring out first products in a manner like IBM did.
So we're not in the awareness phase anymore?
No.
It's right there.
Look here.
Yeah, we're at quantum effects, exactly. That's what I wanted to hear. Still, it's a little bit tricky sometimes to explain. And Stefan, I personally think is doing a great job in explaining that. I read a recent article of yours where you were talking about what is superposition in very vivid words. So the question actually is, how can we describe quantum in an easy way to make it better understandable? And is there maybe a little bit room more to explore?
Well, that's a very excellent question. And I think so of course we have a lot of people getting excited about quantum computing and sharing content about quantum computing, what it is about. But I think we're often using either very much as jargon type of speaking about it, a lot of words which are excluding different groups because they're coming from physics and the others not. So maybe terms like Hamiltonian are new to them. So that's the one thing. But on the other hand, we also have this that we try to sometimes too much simplify things, and then we create those false impressions that we always get, like, oh yeah, quantum computer, that's a very, very fast parallel computer. And I think it should be our job of all of us communicating in whatever daily conversations to really counteract those imaginations, those impressions people get, to have them excited, but realistically excited and without creating too much wrong impressions around it.
And And I think here is a good point. You might have asked yourself what the QR code is in the background. Actually, the three of them prepared a little document for you to find more information. So if you want to scan that code, you'll have a little bit more information afterwards. And also their contacts if you want to follow up with them. So talking about, we were saying today is the focus, the workforce of the future, the skills that we need. So maybe a general assessment from you guys, like where are we? Do we need to speed up the pace? We were talking about the gap before, so let's have a general assessment. And I don't know, you want to start?
I think what we definitely need is increased participation in quantum computing. So I think we heard it today on this stage, we hear it all year round, I think, that there is really a lack in talent and people within quantum computing. But this involves not only the companies building quantum computing and or quantum computers and the students going into that industry, but especially also on the other side of the end users, potential end users, that they can collaborate together to really figure out what's the first prime use case we can make use for quantum computing out of.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, also if we look at the educational offerings that are on the market, I mean, there we find many courses around the theoretical principles, the fundamentals, mathematics, quantum physics, maybe something close to the hardware. But what we, especially at SAP, also experience is that on the algorithm side, on the more applied topics, there are not so many courses available yet. This is also why we internally started to create our own curriculum in this area, where we put the focus on quantum machine learning, on quantum algorithm development, on quantum optimization. And this is definitely something where we also need talents in the future, and where we would like to see in these educational offerings from universities and other trainings to have these applied parts also not only at the end of a course, but maybe in the middle of the course, I really have to focus on that there.
It's really about to bring people together. So
absolutely.
The development side.
Exactly.
So the physics and math people, and then those guys who are really using that and having industry insight on that. And what we built, and that's shown over there at the Quantum Bühne BW, it's a full program for the academic part and also for the associated partners, industry partners. We are today in the second phase, in the second year, where we are educating those people. And there are hundreds of people who are participating there. And the link is there. Everybody can join. Everybody can be part of that. But there are good and bads. So if we are looking to these really from the state of Baden-Württemberg funded project together with education. When I'm looking to the German government, to the federal side, it's scattered. Everybody is doing something very specific for master students or for PhD students or something for industrial people, but it's not a holistic approach. And what we really need, and maybe an approach, is the Quantum Flagship Program, is the QT Edu program, where everything is brought together.
Actually, just maybe a quick hands, because we said before we're talking too much maybe sometimes in jargon. Everybody knows Quantum Flagship? Everyone, yes? Hands up? One. No. So maybe this is two. Maybe you want to elaborate on that real quick, because it's super interesting. And
the Quantum Flagship Program is from a funded program with some billion euros for the quantum industry, for the quantum technology. So building up a quantum computer, a European quantum computer over the QUIC, that's the industry part, where all the industry organizations and companies are scattered in, and then the education program. We identified that we have to have an integrated education program, which is led, by the way, by Rainer Müller from the University of Braunschweig.
No, and also we had Professor Dr. Tommaso Calarco, who started, initiated the Quantum Flagship talking yesterday. So I think that is something great. I mean, let me provoke you, because I know, Ingolf, you're everywhere in that scene. Do we have an opportunity with the Quantum Flagship? Can the Quantum Flagship bring everything together? What are the chances?
Yeah, so the big advantage there is, and that's the next step, where the European Commission is targeting for, that the industry is also part of that, being part of that, not only in the education part, but also in the application arena and in the development of future solutions, hardware, software solutions, so the full stack, and we have heard it many times here on stage, the full stack is needed. It's not just application programming.
Yeah. Well, maybe let's go back to the person that has to enable that future. Because quantum computing, it's a bit complex. You're working with universities. You're educating a broad basis with the IQM Academy. I'd be curious, what kind of profile are you guys interested in? And maybe I start with Stefan.
Well, you mean for hiring?
For hiring.
Yeah, so as IQM, we're a quantum computing manufacturer, but actually I think the background is very diverse. So I'm not a quantum physicist myself, so that's why I was not familiar with a lot of those physicist terms when I started.
What is your background?
My background is actually computer science, especially computer science education and those kind of things. So actually I stumbled into quantum computing by accident, I think, and I still like it here, so it's a great community to be in. But it shows that backgrounds there are very diverse. When I started studying computer science, there was no quantum computing program in my university, and I think there still is none. So I think we really need to be open for all those kind of talent and be inclusive there. And I think that's something we also try with this IQM Academy. So we really try to focus on the underlying ideas, the fundamental principles, and teach them to people. So at the moment, it's of course very like a general introduction to quantum computing, but we're now also doing a lot of those things which are relevant for this NISQ era, the noisy intermediate scale quantum computing era we are now in. So really focusing on near-term algorithms, hopefully.
And the IQM Academy, I think, is also, the link is included also in the QR code. Cool. So when you're not a quantum physicist, if you have not dived yet into that, there is still hope. Like you can still work in quantum. Is that the message?
I think that's the message. So of course you need various types of talent. So building the chips, that's kind of fabrication. You have people thinking about the materials. You have people thinking, of course, about the algorithms, but also about the software, like interfaces and automatic compilation, transpilation tools, and those kind of things. And I think there needs to be a diverse skill set coming together just for this. And
I can underline that. I'm, by education, a computer scientist and business administration guy, so a business guy. And I studied also operation research. So operation research is very fundamental for optimization. Exactly. And if you have learned linear algebra, and that's the foundation for everything, if you learn linear algebra, you can step into the world of quantum programming, let's say it in that way. You could not build a chip or something like that, but from the application side and bridging from industry problems to programming and building up solutions, that's a good foundation.
Maybe also adding on that, so I'm a physicist, but I specialize in astronomy, so I know a little bit of quantum physics, but still not an expert in that. And yeah, if we, for example, if I look into our quantum research group at SAP, it's like a very diverse team, and this is really the beauty of it as well. I mean, if we think about what kind of profiles are we looking at, or are we looking for, it's I would say 3 dimensions. It's first, of course, having this background about what can a quantum computer do, what can it not do. So the mathematical, physical background is, of course, interesting for us. The second dimension, however, is then software engineering. So, of course, we produce enterprise software. We need people who understand how to write good code, how to write testable and scalable code. And then the third dimension is also what Ingolf just said, is the specialized knowledge around optimization, for example, or machine learning, or in general terms, how to do research, how to do development in new algorithms, how to apply these or try to transfer these artificial algorithms that are already on the market, in the research, into an economy setup, an enterprise setup, a real-world setup. And of course, I mean, we are aware there are many excellent talents on the market, but most of them, they have an expertise, experience in 1 or 2 of these fields. And this is also why we say, okay, we have to ramp up our own internal workforce, and yeah, we try to do some programs in there as well.
And maybe a good example is when I was building up in 2016, and nobody was thinking about quantum computing. Right. I have to build up a technical field team worldwide. So at the end, we were 150 people, something like that.
And
So
you did get budget for that back then?
no, I didn't get budget.
That's the question.
And so I was managing the HPC business within Europe. And I was calling into this technical HPC community who is having a background in quantum mechanics or linear algebra and like to join to be part of that team, additional to your normal work. And within 2 weeks, I was getting 40 hands on board in Europe.
Super cool.
For that. And those guys, many physics people, so PhD, having said, okay, I have a PhD in quantum mechanics, but I'm misused as data scientist. And I really like to work in that direction. And in so many companies, there are data scientists having a math and physics background within quantum mechanics, and those guys you have to use, and those guys will be happy to work in your company in that topic.
Let's talk about that a little bit more later. Actually, I have one more question to Stefan, because he's also so busy. He is talking at the Quantum Business Industry Summit upstairs. But there's one last question I have to you before you leave us. We've been talking about how students get into it, how they evolve their skills. And from your side, you gave me, when we had our briefing call, one thought on the way that you said it's really important, and you want to support also with IQM, people working on a quantum computer, but it's hard. It's expensive, and you came up with some ideas, and I just want to give you the chance to elaborate on that a bit.
Yeah, so we really try to give more people this experience, and that's why we launched this IQM Spark product, which we hope that more universities will be able to give students through this system access to quantum computing, not only to the software interface, because that's not really different to the simulated thing, but really to the hardware and to understand what is involved in all those aspects. And I hope that we can spark many more creative quantum computing engineers in the future.
Beautiful.
And unfortunately, I need to leave now.
Yes, this is.
Nice
Give him an applause, please. Hands up.
Have a good day.
Great, and you know what? I'm coming closer to you. Perfect. No, and I'm using now the opportunity to really dive into the industry and corporate world with you. So you were talking about the end user side before. And I was wondering, we were talking now about physics and linear algebra. I was wondering, as we are having the quantum age, it's starting now. You said we're over the awareness phase. What about executives, business executives, that they want to get engaged, but they don't know where to start? I mean, do they go in the IQM Academy? You're talking with them all the time. You have to convince your people to get the budget. Like, share a bit of insights. How can you bring the topic on the agenda, and what do they need to know?
In the first phase, in the first 2-3 years, we have had many invitations to speak at C-level. So what does it mean to your business, to your products, to your solutions, to your services at the end? And gained a lot of interest on that level. But important is, if a company like really to set up a program or to dig into it and change processes and products for that, that you have to have one C-level who is responsible for that, who is supporting that, to build up a small group within that company who is then figuring out what does it really mean to my organization at the end. And then building up workshops and digging deeper in that area and building up a plan. And decide, okay, I go forward, I do a little project, I go a big project, or something like that.
And what is, sorry.
No worries.
But what would you say? Do you think corporates, they already have a quantum strategy? I mean, you, of course, with SAP, you're close in that area, but how does it look with the general industries?
It's different. So we have big industry organizations like Daimler, Telecom also, who have a separated group for that. There are also some bigger companies who don't care about that. Really, it's not on the agenda. When we are talking Baden-Württemberg, it's Mittelstand. So a lot of higher SMB, small and medium business companies, really taking care, like Trumpf, And it's famous for Quant, for example, but others, they don't know how to do, because it's only just a family owner and having not the bandwidth to take care about that. And that's a platform to get a first interest and first insight for that. And I really like to invite everybody to join these type of events at the end, or an event from Bitkom or other independent organizations.
I guess, like in general, there's like lots of uncertainty on the market, especially for these small and medium-sized enterprises. We really wonder, okay, what does quantum computing do for me? What can we do? And like, which area is like the most immediate one that becomes important for us? So when I talk like also to industry stakeholders in that area, they often say, well, the security point is like very important for them. So what I then usually tell them, look at like what the regional, local quantum clusters already offering. So for example, the Munich Quantum Valley and also the Fraunhofer institutes that are connected to them, there is like a competence center around post-quantum security there, which then also invites especially like the small companies to talk to them and like explain to them, how can I prepare my system for like being secure in the future against like potential threats from quantum computers or something else. And so I guess in general, it's really about this uncertainty, trying to solve this, and also trying to convince executives that quantum, of course, is very research-focused at the moment, but we need to prepare our companies already now so that we are ramped up when then the quantum like really advantage is there, because then if you only prepare then it's too late.
That's especially for Mittelstands companies who are technology-driven, so more technology-driven. And those guys typically have some people, at least, who are doing application development, optimization in a way, using specific programs, so computer programs really to work with them.
Which industries are we talking?
We are talking about life science, we are talking about manufacturing, chemical industry. So nearly every industry is having a case for quantum technology. The important part here is there's an immediate return. When you are digging into, with your experts, in those problem areas and try to map them to the quantum world, typically you figure out, okay, there's also an improvement in the classical work, which I can immediately use at the end within my applications, so shortening the time of calculation from 2 days to 1 day, for example. And by the way, they're learning quantum.
Yeah. So maybe coming back to SAP, because you haven't answered the question yet, how you get your budget, how you can convince your executives to focus also on that quantum computing initiative.
So maybe like, yeah, if I look into my current position. So currently I'm responsible for our partnership with the Technical University of Munich. I'm part of the project management team called Industry University Collaboration. And of course, like in Munich, also being a physicist, I'm curious about the quantum physics world, the quantum computing world, and I'm seeing what's going on there. And couple of years ago, they suggested also to our executive, Thomas Sauer-Essig from the product engineering board, how would it be like that we make maybe an applied research project together with the technical universities in this era of quantum computing? And then, of course, like the question was big, okay, which area is like the most important one? I said to him, hey, we have really to ramp up our knowledge like in all these different aspects, but potentially like security, post-quantum security is the most important one. I mentioned before that when I talk to small and medium enterprise stakeholders, they are asking about how relevant is that for that. And this is like, why I also convinced Thomas Sauer-Essig to give us budget for a particular project with the technical universities in this quantum security, post-quantum cryptography area, where we work together with the chair for IT security at the Technical University, which is held by Professor Claudia Eckert. Some of you might know her. She's a very prestigious researcher in this area. And actually, if I may be allowed a small advertisement,
come on, do it.
We are currently looking for a PhD researcher for exactly this project. As I mentioned, it's like about how can a software company, how can SAP, how can we make our internal IT architecture more secure, more resilient against potential threats, be it from quantum computers or something else in the future. A big topic is is crypto agility in this area as well. So if any of you in the audience know someone or you yourself are interested in it, check also out the QR code. I've put some more details about the job description and the research behind it in there.
I think every company who's here is having a tag on the booth, I'm hiring.
No, perfect. Maybe to sum that up, you're looking for on the recruiting side. If I'm a corporate and I want to get started, you pointed out a couple of initiatives, but maybe to put it in a nutshell. I'm a company, small, medium-sized. How do I get access? How do I get the information? What would you recommend? And I'm starting with Ingolf here.
Okay, as a former IBMer, I would guide to the IBM side. Because of it's really a full program from start, from scratch, to learn how to program. And that's online, that's available. And not only IBM is doing that, Rigetti and Google, you can look also there. There are many courses in YouTube. You really can. Richard Feynman in the back. That's the foundation. And everybody who really to have quantum mechanics lectures should look for Richard Feynman. And how to use those systems. Every provider is offering how to access those systems via the cloud environment. Nearly everybody is, meanwhile, who is having a real system available, is supporting via cloud and giving access via cloud and giving lectures via cloud.
And maybe also now talking, because the last time we met was in Munich, at the Munich Circle. Maybe now talking also about hubs or organizations. Which hubs or organizations would you recommend to become part of, to become member, to watch them, just as an highlight?
So, I mean, we mentioned a couple of consortia already, so Quick, the Quantum Flagship, and so on. Speaking on more local terms, so as I'm located in Munich, of course, I would advertise the Munich Quantum Valley. They are doing a great job with many different offerings. They have offerings where you can just get started in it, scout a little bit what kind of quantum technology is important for me, get a general knowledge, experience about that. But they also offer many courses or deep dive seminars into specific areas. So, for example, I was talking to Professor from the Technical University just earlier today. They had a quantum software engineering forum just the last couple of days, which was a huge success. They, in the beginning, they thought there might be 30 or 40 people joining. In the end, it was 200 people. So we see how really important this topic is and how people are interested in that. So really have a look at that. They have good websites where you can get an overview also about upcoming events.
So Munich is the one hotspot. The other hotspot is Baden-Württemberg.
Yes, the land.
And here we are focusing on the industry, really on the industry, and bring academic and industry together. So full program, and we extend that in 2024. Third hotspot is Jülich. So the researchers, it's more academic, I would say. So it's more in the academic area. And there are small hotspots, Lower Saxony, Saxony Valley, for example, Hamburg and Berlin, just kicking off something. But the real big programs are in Munich and in Stuttgart.
Great. And as I said, advertised before, here you put together some information as well. I want to give the opportunity to ask also questions before I let you go off stage. I could keep on talking. I love that topic. But let's see. If there is any question in the room, please hands up. The mic is over there. I saw some mobiles going up, scanning the code, so probably there will be, yes, okay. Thanks for some feedback, guys. I mean, we're standing here and okay, give them an applause. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll have another conversation on stage, and this time we look at the ecosystem. We had it yesterday. Yes, please, for the codes. Oh, and they're coming there already. Perfect. Come up.
Is that okay?
Frédéric Schall.
Yeah.
I'm going then on this side, as you guys
just
like.
Moving the table a little bit.
No, please, feel at home. Make yourself home. Now I have Frederik Schaal from Bosch Quantum Sensing. And over there, Daniel Twitschen, Element 6. Thank you. This is what I was looking for. Perfect. Frederik, we had yesterday Dr. Katrin Kobe on stage here. So Bosch Quantum Sensing might already be a good term. But today, and I want you to talk a little bit about what you're doing. Today, we're talking about the ecosystem, about the value chain and what needs to come together as puzzles to have a successful ecosystem in quantum technology. But maybe, do you guys want to introduce yourself a little bit? Frederik, maybe starting as our hosting partner of Quantum Effects with Bosch Quantum Sensing.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. My name is Frederik Schaal. I'm the CTO of Bosch Quantum Sensing, therefore responsible there for building the technology. Perhaps some words of my background. From background, I'm an engineer, studied at the University of Stuttgart, did my PhD in applied optics, and my last position before joining Bosch Quantum Sensing 1.5 or nearly 2 years ago was building up another corporate startup. Was building up with the company Trump, a successful startup in building 3D metal printers from scratch. And we had nice results after 6 years, from empty slides, a dozen of people, to products in 40 countries in the world as a stable industrial product. And I am happy to be here at Bosch and also pushing to get quantum sensing really out of the world in the hands of the customer. And Daniel is with me.
Thanks, Frederik. So I'm Daniel Twitschen. I'm Chief Technologist for Element 6, and we talk about ecosystem. We're very early in the ecosystem. So that, believe it or not, is a piece of diamond. So that's freestanding diamond.
I love that you brought that. Nice.
And he's going to show you something more impressive in a moment. But so at the heart of Element 6, for 70 years, we've been finding new markets using diamond and enabled by diamond. And despite being a fairly large company, every market we've entered has almost been a disruptive. It hasn't been the case today. They've been using material X and they swap it to diamond. It's always been working with them how they can unlock huge new potential. So in the laser community, working to develop a new laser based on diamond optics, allow them to do performance they haven't done before. So despite the fact we've been around for a long time, every time we enter a new industry, it's always a disruptive change we're looking for. So, and in terms of diamond, and Freddie will talk more about it in a moment, that's very high purity diamond. But my old professor used to say, Daniel...
Oh yeah, hold it a bit higher. I see a photographer.
Crystals are like people. It's their defects which make them interesting. And in some ways, that's what we've been trying to do, is harness these impurity atoms to make sensors.
That's beautiful. Let me just quickly check. Do you guys hear us? Yes? Yes, I'm always looking at last row. Perfect, thank you. I love that storytelling. Actually, yesterday, I was... André Kretschmann, I was teasing him a little bit. I was talking about Star Trek and the tricorder. You might know that one, the super sensing technology, exactly. And I was thinking, okay, are we getting that? And at some point, is it going to become reality? And this is the question I have for you guys now. Are we talking about a dream, like a distant dream, what you guys gonna do, or is it tangible? Of course it is, right?
Yeah, I think it's both sides. It's dream and reality today. What we're doing, in addition to Daniel's week, of course, we're taking the defects of the diamond and building ultra-sensitive magnetometers based on diamond technology as the quantum engine in the inside. And of course, you're envisioning disruptive applications in the next year, in 10 years, will change the world also in the next decade. But right now, as you've seen maybe on our booth, we already have the first quantum device in my hand on a smartphone size, with a diamond inside, with electronics inside, and really sensing as a first generation of this decoder. And within the next years, of course, this will evolve. And as we'll talk later, I think we also have to solve a lot of challenges there to really get the disruptive encoder running. And that's the topic of the talk today.
Beautiful.
So, I mean, maybe just to add to that, I think it's great being back in Stuttgart. For us, this is where our diamond quantum story started, working with Jörg Ratchup and Fedor Jelecko at the University of Stuttgart more than 15 years ago. And at that time, what was exciting, in research, we were using all these pieces of equipment you see around here today to analyze and improve diamond. Today, some of that equipment uses diamond to improve diamond. And in that space of 10 to 12 years, that's been pretty exciting. So in part, it's already happened. Diamond is already being used. Of course, we want more, but it's not a dream, it's reality.
Yeah, and also it's catching up. Daniel is talking about 10 years ago. Yeah. Now we're here. I'm talking 2 years ago when I entered Bosch Quantum Sensing. We were standing in the lab at the lab demonstration, maybe also in the labs of the university. We were looking at the optical tables, the lab setup, 1 cubic square meter worth of the equipment, probably as much as a house in Stuttgart costs, and the houses are expensive here. And now, not 2 years later, 1.5 years later, I'm having the technology in my hand. I think that's the term of pace we are keeping up.
Super
so
cool.
Starting at the science 10 years ago, bringing it to the first applications, and I think that should be also the vision for the next years, that we have the right applications running then.
And I just wanted to say, let's talk a little bit more about then the future and term of times, but maybe applications, just to make it a little bit more tangible, where you go in with that, where you're going to apply that technology and what kind of applications, industries. Maybe you want to elaborate that first so the audience also knows where you are looking at.
Perhaps start. I was mentioning at the beginning that we are building magnetometers. So magnetic field, normally it's one of the values you don't care about, but it's surrounding us everywhere. So there's the magnetic field of the Earth, and even in Boy Scouts camp, you might have used a compass for navigation. So that's well known for over 100 years. But one of the applications is taking this to the next level, not only looking where's north, but really navigating where I am and providing very robust navigation. So one use case is really to enable, for example, airplanes. We're working there together with Airbus to have a very robust navigation where even the spoofing of GPS signal doesn't matter. So that's one of the applications we will see in the near future, where we will really improve how to navigate on Earth. Second, navigation is, of course, a lot of industrial applications. If you're thinking about currents, every current produces a magnetic field. We have high currents, low currents, we have currents everywhere. If you're now looking on the streets and going to your local car dealer, probably you should and would buy an electric car in the future. And those electric cars, of course, run with currents, and the performance of the batteries very hard, relying on the knowledge of the control system of battery, how much electrical power is in the battery. And depending how you drive your battery, you need to really sense tiny little currents in the milliampere range, up to, if you're going to full power of your electric car, more than 1,000 amperes. And that's really the unique power of the quantum sensor, that we also can see sense very small signals and very big signals at one time. And elaborate on a third application. I hope everybody is healthy from our side, but that might change if you look into the death rows of all the diseases. The second place is cardiac diseases. We are here in Stuttgart. Normally there's the saying, if some people get a Schlägle, so cardiac attack, that's impacting many of us. And therefore we also will provide a magnetic solution to really tape the magnetic signals from the heart to really get more diagnostics on heart diseases.
So that's the tricorder.
That's one function of the tricorder.
Just need a red box and you have one. I think just the only thing to add to Frederick, and we're talking a bit about ecosystem today, is obviously we're talking a lot about sensing here, but actually Diamond is, I think, the only platform that's being explored for both quantum sensing, quantum networking, and quantum computing. And the fact that there's a couple of companies at the back who've got a workable multi-qubit device in this room is quite phenomenal, and that's enabled by some of these Diamond properties. And in networking, which is an area it's not talked as much about in these communities, the fact that Amazon earlier this year announced that they're working on Diamond for quantum secure networking. So as an ecosystem, there's enough commonality across those areas which, in theory, each community should be able to leverage and benefit from.
So we should also talk about the critical components that's needed. And
next slide.
I think we have to do it ourselves.
Here's the clicker, guys.
Oh, so
there we
go. Perfect. Yeah. So critical components of that ecosystem.
So when we look at a quantum sensor, of course, we need a quantum system to run our quantum protocol. Either it's a computer or, in our sense, it's a sensor. And in our technology, the heart of the sensor is a diamond. I think Daniel can evolve this a little bit. It's an artificial diamond, so you shouldn't matter that it's extremely rare, extremely expensive, but we also need extremely powerful, high quality there, where we would later touch. But that's not the only component. Also, one question, why critical components? A quantum system is always a multi-physics system. We have a quantum engine, a quantum core, we have a quantum effect. But to really probe and manipulate these quantum effects, we need, for example, optical components. So we have very tight requirements on optical light sources, for example, lasers. We also have requirements of driving the system with stable electronics, high quality electronics, which makes microwave power in our case. But of course, we also need all the technology to bring this quantum system, optoelectronic system, to a real sensor. We need housing technologies, but also software parts in the sensor, outside the sensor, to really get, for example, the health scale information, the tricorder working as a whole device. And that's behind me in the puzzle, all the different pieces we have to bring together.
So I saw this for the first time yesterday or the day before, and it's a great picture. But
it looks so easy.
But there's one really important bit missing. And what's that? That's the word customer. So to some extent, that's still one of the biggest challenges. And we talk a lot about competition, we talk about roadmaps, but fundamentally, we need customers. And there's a very famous story, it was in the US in the late 90s, early 2000s, what was seen to be the industrial birth of nanotechnology. And there's a very famous picture. And that picture was 3 people, Bill Clinton, Moore, as in the founder of Intel, and at the time, whose name I forget, the head of Caltech, representing government, industry, and academia. And that tripartite, that helix, is the underpinning, and we've seen that at this meeting. We've seen government, we've seen industry, we've seen science. But there's still a little bit of chicken egg, there's still a bit of a push. And I think at some level, we're still having this type of meeting in 5 years' time, we've failed. We need to be in the application type meetings. For the key thing there, it's customer. We heard a little bit about that yesterday, and I think the Bosch team are doing a fantastic job getting their sensors out into real-life applications to try and find that pull. And with that pull, topics like roadmaps and stuff become much more tangible.
Yeah, also, as we see it on the wall of the bar camp, besides, is how to get customers for a quantum sensor. And I think that's the key component which also influences, as Daniel mentioned, the whole ecosystem. It's not only the components, it's also the application, and it's also the value chain for application, for components provider, for sensor providers, for solution providers, for other parts of the ecosystem, for example, software. And that's also one of the biggest challenges, besides the technical challenges, in quantum technology in general.
No, I would say like that puzzle, it looks so beautiful, it looks so easy, like everything is like getting into it. You're also talking now about the challenges, so if there is anything else to add, please do so.
So, I mean, Frederick, we talked a little bit about people. There's a lot of talk in national programs. I'm part of the advisory thing in the UK national program. They talk about the need to to train lots of new quantum scientists, but I'm not sure that's right. What's your view?
I think on people, of course, we need bright minds. We need many bright minds of that, and of course, we need to spread the word of quantum technologies. But I think we also can build there on the existing knowledge. It's physics, which is added with another flavor. It's technical systems, which are in the heart. Some parts are known, but the unique thing is that we really have multi-physics engineering. And that's a challenge if you really want to do it, but that's also a challenge for the mind of the young scientists, of the young engineers. That's one challenge there, let's say, on the engineering side. But the other big point we touched earlier, also on the application side, we're talking about a tricorder system, but if I have a problem and I don't know that there's a solution out there, that's of course an issue. We also need to link the technical possibilities of new technologies like quantum sensing or other quantum technologies to the minds of the user to really get this ecosystem running. And I think also another part of them is the scaling, is the business side, for example, on the components.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I mean, we have people come to us who want 5 diamonds a year. People who come to us want 100 million diamonds a year, and how the business evolves consistent with high value, low volume, but has the potential to scale is key, not just for the materials part, but all of those other interplay. Yeah? There are microwave engineers out there, there's laser engineers out there, but actually those synergies together in a single unit. This doesn't just use electronics, there's microwaves, there's optics, and material science. And that's the challenge, integration. But I think the key is we need more engineers who understand that interplay, but they don't necessarily need to be experts at quantum mechanics. They don't need to diagonalize Hermitian matrices. They just need to know enough to know what makes this thing smaller in terms of size, weight, and power and sensitivity. I think we are in a race. I mean, that's the other key thing. This is not people waiting for us to come up with solutions. There is a global race here. US investing a lot, China investing huge amounts of money. So again, in this ecosystem, I don't think we have the luxury to have a lot of duplication. There needs to be some sense of like, we have a gap here, let's fill the gap. Let's not replicate too many parts because we need speed and the money will only go so far.
Yeah, no,
sorry, please.
That's also one part. If you look at the puzzle, it looks easy. But if you look at the puzzle, okay, it's not the master puzzle with 10,000 pieces, but there are quite a lot of pieces out there. And as we know, and then you mentioned the resources are limited, and we have big challenges in nearly any of these puzzle pieces. Some smaller, some bigger. And also if you look at different technologies, quantum computing, I think they're even adding more puzzle pieces. And the race there, as Daniel called it, is really to get this running in time, in budget, inside the expectations. That's also one part of, let's say, training the customer, because if you're just standing around for 20 years and doing promises and not fulfilling them, also I think the faith and the believing in such technology and the broad-wide application will suffer. And therefore it's important that we not replicate, but we also work together to really get the key components, the key issues solved. Might be together with academia, but also might be in cooperation between companies.
That would be actually my question. Like, where do you see impulses external that you can leverage for your goal to address these challenges? You just said academia. Like, where else do you see partners or support?
Of course, we see there a lot of also interest from the customer. I see, if you look here at this trade fair, it's the first generation. We see quite a lot of interest in all of the technologies. Some are really major, really asking us for when can I have the device, how much does it cost, how can we improve even those specs we can provide today. But also, on the other hand, we have, of course, official funding. We have, let's say, eye on the topic. But also, we need to keep our feet on the ground. I think quantum technology is quite running for some years, but now we need to start really bringing devices into the market. And I also see there great examples. I think, for example, in NV technologies, there are great microscopic devices out there which are running in the labs of happy customers for years, and really need to improve this number of devices and applications which are really running in field in the hands of a customer out of the lab.
And I think this is like proof by example. This is something where you just start convincing when you don't need too much words, but you say, this is how it actually works for you as a customer. So you are an established player. You say you like keep innovating. Bosch is also like huge when it comes to new technology, and now with the Quantum Bosch Sensing startup. How do you approach customers? And maybe also let's talk about the markets. Where do you see applications and what kind of potential is there?
Yeah, I can maybe start that. I think
Like revenue, sorry, maybe to
revenue,
specify that.
So,
Revenue.
I mean, I don't want to talk a lot about numbers, but the fact that there are big companies here, what moves the dial are big numbers. So those companies are not here without some belief. I think yesterday we heard from Siemens Healthcare in the ologies. There's several billion every year that could be saved if some of these problems are solved with quantum technology. So the numbers are significant. I mean, you asked the question, how do we work with people? It's like you're always looking for a problem. Yeah, the hardest thing in business is not great technology, it's finding a meaningful problem worth solving. And that's what us and this community need to continue to do. What's your problem? How can I help you?
Yeah, and I wouldn't be standing here to emphasize this if Bosch wouldn't believe that it's a big-scale technology. As you have seen our numbers, we are believing that it's a multi-billion-dollar market within the next decade. And it's also the chicken egg problem here approaching the customer. Not really asking the customer, would you like to have a quantum sensor? Because of everybody would like to have an innovative device in their application. But that's not taking us to a multi-billion market. It's taking us, if we really see the issue and we see, okay, this can be solved only or better with a significant bonus with quantum technology. And that's really the question which have to be asked. And then we also have to be careful that we don't are blinded just by, let's say, the visions of quantum technology, but also have the eye on the short-term and mid-term roadmap of this technology, because otherwise we are looking into the valley of the hype cycle, and we need to keep that upward, that we really have a great technology which we can apply and build on that step by step. Of course, we won't start at the first day with 1 million devices per day. We will start small, but we need to increase fast to get a sustainable story out of this technology.
Yeah. Just because it's quantum doesn't mean it's better. Yeah.
Well, we talked about the challenges. We talked a bit about the time. Of course, I'm curious about your vision, how this collaboration evolves. And I mean, Daniel, I heard you. You said 5 years before. You said in 5 years, we need to have some tangible proofs, also to then elevate and get more customers.
Yeah.
So maybe let's talk a little bit about the future and your vision and about these next 5 years. How do you tackle the challenges and what are the next milestones?
I mean, just to reiterate what I said at the beginning, in one way or another, I've been tied to this field for nearly 30 years. And you know, back in my PhD, I was looking at trying to understand these weird defects, which now we're talking about in sensors. So that's been quite a remarkable path in a way. In terms of the next phase, and you know, we have marketing here, you know, the tagline would be Diamond making quantum tech brilliant, solving important problems. And that would be the tagline. But to do that, we need to show tangible use cases in the next 2 to 3 years to build and the momentum to continue. We've already been at this 15 years. We need to now start to show the shareholders that there's return here, we're getting traction.
Yeah, if you're talking about stories about our PhD, I also have one. When I was back in my PhD, not so long ago with Daniel's PhD, I worked at the optics lab, microstructuring optics. And one time, a guy from Professor Wachtrup here in the University of Stuttgart came around and say, okay, here's a diamond, can you structure some metal layer on it? And I'll say, okay, what would you like to do on this? Okay, NV defects, sensing them, okay, crazy physics technology, nobody will ever use that. I did the structuring, the microwave was working, but I forget it. But now, I think...
I didn't know that. That's a good story.
15 years later, I'm now standing here and bring this kind of crazy technology I was nearly overseeing during my PhD thesis into application. And I think that's also one of our visions, what we need to do. We also have to believe in the technology, but also we create the unthinkable. That's not only that we can provide the technology, but also we can provide new application and make the life of everybody of us better in the future. Maybe with a tricoder, maybe with other applications, maybe with even more powerful quantum technology and quantum sensors.
That was a beautiful roundup, a beautiful roundup. Before I open the discussion to questions, is there anything like any key message that you wanna bring over? I mean, I think honestly you just made a beautiful statement, but is there anything you guys like to add?
No, I think that's good to end on that.
I think we are open for the question of the audience.
Beautiful. So we have the mic over there. Tiana's ready. Thank you so much. So if there's a question, please just raise your hands. There is one.
Hi. I would like to ask, what is your biggest challenge when you go back to work tomorrow morning? So not the biggest challenge strategy-wise for the next 15 years, but let's say very concrete tomorrow. To both of you, please.
Can we repeat?
Yeah, she was asking, what is the challenge for you guys, not in the next 5 years, but actually when you go back to work tomorrow morning, what are you focusing on? And the question is to both of you.
So maybe if I start, I think for us it's selecting which problem to be solved. Yeah. So every week we'll get inquiries for this type of diamond, and at the end of the day there's finite resources and finite. So how do we focus those? So that's always the challenge in any commercial: is what do we say yes to, what do we say no to? In terms of material science challenge, at the heart of it is you want this perfect qubit spin in a perfect solid state material. So the battle at one level is always making sure those other nasty spins that you don't care about are not there, and your spin is there, and that spin's where you want it to be. So Matthew leads our development team. At the heart of his DNA, how do I make these spins better in a clean matrix?
Okay, perhaps. When I go back to work, I think on the one hand, it's a pleasure to go back to work because I'm looking there in the eyes of highly motivated engineers and scientists really working on the next big thing, because in terms of the developers, it's more or less a pleasure to work on a really new groundbreaking technology. That's a chance you won't get every day. And that's motivating the people there, and that already makes work there in this technology pleasure. But the second hand, of course, that's not without challenges. And the challenge in the development of a quantum system for real-world sensor is you have bright ideas, you have a lot of ideas, you have a very high complex system. I think the puzzle, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So you have a huge number of ideas and issues you have to tackle. And the challenge there is really to pinpoint the right prioritization. You can't tweak every screw in such a complex system. Otherwise, we will end up in engineering a system for 10 years and won't deliver. It's really important, and it's the challenge to really tweak the right screws in such a complex system. And it's a pleasure.
Beautiful. Any other question? We have one there. Perfect.
Thanks for the talk, guys. It was very inspiring.
Can we have a little bit louder?
You know, it feels like quantum sensors are sometimes into a superposition of different phases, namely trying to convince people that they work, they're reliable, people can put them in airplanes and you can fly safely, versus people have trusted that, and now it's about a problem to solution fit where you work on the engineering, form factor, costs, and whatnot. I was wondering if you could share your perspective on that note.
Yeah, perhaps a general view, of course, if you look into quantum technology, you see different fields of technology. Quantum communication, quantum computing, I think they all have the importance. I think also Daniel can involve a little bit on those topics. But our judgment is that in quantum sensing, we see in the nearest point of time the real benefit. And that's the reason why we are concentrating on quantum sensing. But there's also a broader view on this, Daniel.
Well, in some ways, should ask you, Felipe, that question. I mean, you've done it. You've built a system, and you have systems out there in the field. I think any of the guys who are going to deploy a system in a real application needs to be, confident that that technology is going to be around for some period of time. So understanding you've got a robust, reliable ecosystem is still a challenge for this community, yeah, because the big guys are not necessarily going to invest unless they think there's the building blocks to build on. Secondly is confidence, yeah. I mean, we've been involved in areas where in the past people have made commitments and then not delivered. And that can just knock a field back 10 or 15 years because the confidence goes and you have to go through that whole cycle again. So I think it's managing expectation, and yes, we've got to get people enthusiastic, but managing that message appropriately, because if we do fail to deliver, then those agencies, those companies will not come back anytime, probably in our working career. Is there a third point? I think it's what you're doing and others are doing. We have to get systems out in the field, even if they're not perfect systems.
Any other question? Oh, and I see the CEO, Dr. Katrin Kobe, here as well. Perfect. Any other question? No. Then, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the conversation, and give them a last applause, please.